It just said.
Hello, everybody. How are we all doing today?
Doing good. Managed to get on after a few technical hitches, but we did it anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, we did. I did have a bit of a hiccup. My laptop froze on me when we were doing this, and then all of a sudden, nope, just doesn't like it. But you know what? Here we are. But if you don't know who I am, or if you're just tuning in for the first time, my name is Tim. I'm one of the co-editor-in-chief of that Eurovision site, and I'm doing good today. It's raining. It's like very cloudy where I am, but that's just me. And joining me is
Jazzy, I make sure that everything gets out on social media, and I also just make sure that these people are in order.
And I'm Angus. I'm one of the editors for the website. Joined fairly recently and having a great time so far. It's not as rainy over here, but still quite cloudy.
okay then. All right then. Well, the reason that we are here today is mainly just because we haven't done one of these since May. I mean, I wasn't here, but Jazzy is with Rosie and Rory. But we just wanted to touch base and just catch up, just because a new Eurovision is in the works, and we have lots of news that we've received for the past few months. So we just wanted to touch base and say hi, how are you all doing? And obviously, just say what our thoughts are. So I'm gonna start things off. I'm just saying that for now, after so long of complaining and waiting and all that kind of stuff, Turin has been announced as the 2022 Eurovision Song Contest host city. All I'm gonna say is finally. They've been waiting so long. We were just like, how long is this gonna go ahead for? Because it's taking so long to get there, and finally on October 8th, they just said, Turin, we've chosen. And I'm very, very excited. It's a city I have not heard of in Italy until, they won and all that kind of stuff. But what do you guys think of Turin being selected?
Personally, I hadn't heard too much about the city prior to Eurovision. I knew the city existed, but it wasn't like I didn't know like any of the cultural infrastructure or anything like that. Just a city I knew from football, really. Juventus. That's it. Prior to it being selected as a host city, I was like thinking, oh, it'd be Milan, be Rome, maybe Rima Marie because of the San Marino connections, but they've gone with Turin, and I'm really excited for this. I think it's something that we weren't really expecting, and I'm just glad to go to a part of Italy that I don't think I've hosted Eurovision before. So it'll be really interesting to see how they do it all. I think it's one that I'm planning to try and get to. So be really excited to go to a new city that I haven't ever been to before and that I barely heard of prior to Italy winning the contest this year.
I mean, Turin maybe was a bit of a surprise, but as the date approached, I got less and less surprised because I perhaps I'm the most familiar with the city out of us three, even though I've never been there, but I was aware that they are able to hold like big events and everything. Especially they held the Winter Olympics there in 2006, if I remember the year correctly. I personally was really hoping to get a host city in the south of Italy. So much of the cultural and the political influence and stories you get out of Italy are focused on the northern part and on Rome. It would just been really cool if it was like Palermo or something in Sicily even. But Turin is a solid host city. I think it's infrastructure wise, it's easy to get to from most of Europe. So that is good to see at least, because we have had struggles with that in the past with Eurovision. And for the rest, I think they will hold a great contest.
Okay, moving on swiftly, as well as confirming that Turin will be our lovely host city for next year's contest, we also had the announcement that there'll be 41 countries participating at the Eurovision Song Contest in 2022. Obviously, we had all 39 who participated this year, and we have the return of Armenia and Montenegro. For me, like, I'm just happy that we have 40 plus again, just because it was kind of sad that we always dip down like after a few years, which does frustrate me a bit. And to have 41, I think that's a good number. There'll be 35 countries, there'll be what, 37 countries in the semi-final, just because all the big five, all the big five are there. We don't have a host country. But we've got returning countries, with all the things that are happening in the world right now. I'm very, very happy just because there's the resilience to it. And I'm very, very looking forward to just seeing what Armenia and Montenegro have to say. What are your thoughts, guys?
I am very excited that Montenegro and Armenia are back. I really hope Armenia send Anthena. I really hope she gets her chance to represent her country, because obviously in 2020 the contest was cancelled, and then in 2021 they withdrew. So I really, really hope in 2022 they give her that shot. Montenegro, again, really happy to see them back. I'm really curious to see what they do, because it's just been announced that Montevideo is not going to be their method of selection. I have a feeling it could be an internal selection, just simply because they haven't had the easiest financial times lately. So it might be for the best to just have one act, throw everything that they've got at that one act rather than have a national final. And yeah, I'm just really excited to see them back. And as like the bigger contest, the better, I say. Like, I want so many of these countries that have left us to come back and embrace Eurovision, because as Måneskin have proved, like, it's a massive platform, like, to really start a massive career if you get it right. So more countries the better.
Definitely, I agree. The more countries, the better. And both Montenegro and Armenia really bring their own flavor to the contest as well, I think. And we've, especially Armenia, was missing this year. Montenegro as well. The less said about their last Eurovision entry, the better, I think. But if we look at everything they sent in before that, it was really good stuff. No, I'm just really happy to see them all back. It will be interesting to see who they select and how they select it. Athena did bring out a new song recently, did she? Like, I believe I saw something about that. So you never know. Maybe that's the right one to send in. And as you also say, Jazzy, like, it's a great platform. And beyond Måneskin, we also see less mainstream acts. If you look at something like Goe, which is also very popular in Western Europe now within certain circles. And that's definitely not one of the more mainstream attractions that you would expect to get big, perhaps. But they did. And that just shows that anyone can get big from the contest if they show up with the right song and perhaps the right staging.
But before we do move on with that, in the midst of the celebration that we've got Montenegro and Armenia are returning. If you don't already follow our podcast, that Eurovision podcast, today we just recently published our episode celebrating Montenegro and looking through their history. We've got Armenia coming up, so if you haven't already, go follow us at Spotify Podcasts and Apple Podcasts, and Armenia's episode will be coming up shortly, amongst other couple episodes that are about to come up. But moving on swiftly, the next country that we have a news of is, of course, the one where me and Jazzy are currently residing in, the United Kingdom. And the BBC have announced that they are going to be collaborating with Tap Music in order to select the Eurovision 2022 representative for the UK. And they're known for managing acts such as Dua Lipa, Ellie Goulding, Lana Del Rey. And looking at it, and actually shout out to the Euro trip, because I actually listened to the podcast that they did as soon as it was announced. And I'm liking the fact that Ben, who's actually in charge of undertaking this task, like he's got a fresh mindset, and I'm also loving the fact that it's something different. And you know what? How else can you go from here? Just because the British fans are frustrated, so we're willing to try anything at this rate. But what are your thoughts?
Obviously, the last collaboration with BMG Music did not go as well as people expected. So, however, following on from Ben's comments, where he seems very positive about Eurovision and wanting to make a positive change, I'm going into this cautiously optimistic. I think are the words, because it seems like he really wants an improvement for like our results and for the opinion of Eurovision in this country as a whole, and that is what the UK fans have been crying and begging out for. So, but I'm aware the BBC can sometimes halt creativity in the artists. But I hope they just let Tap Music take full reign of everything that we want to do, give them a budget that can really like get a good song, get a good music video, get everything together, and just hope for the best. Like, again, as I say, I think the words are cautiously optimistic. There is caution there. Of course, it's the UK. There always will be.
I mean, as a Dutch person, I know all about how very bad Eurovision results can impact the image of the contest, and also how quickly that stuff can turn around. Honestly, the record label, the Tap Music, is honestly great. I think if you look at the selection of artists, they really have like potential for an Anouk moment. And then if you also look, they also have Angus and Julia Stone with it, which is the closest you can get to a Common Linens moment, basically. If you wanted to choose one, if you want to almost go the literal route, right? So I do think I have no idea how good that label is actually identifying talents and selecting them, and I don't know how free the BBC will be in that, and then the selection of the song. So many questions are open. But as such, if I look at the people that are signed at the record label, I feel these are people that have a decent feeling for artistic control. And likewise, I do feel that the BBC is choosing them as well, so that they can let it go and be like, okay, you do it then, which can only be a good thing at this point.
All right then. Okay, speaking of which, I do hope, like, just to round things up quickly, I do hope that, it's a fresh approach, but, as Jazzy mentioned, it's I'm optimistic but cautious, just because we've had that, build up, oh, promise, and we get that. And that's something that we do not want to happen again. Okay, but swiftly moving on, we're going to go delve deeper into the national finals. But before that, I'm just going to do like a little rain check, just because with all the news, we actually don't know what is going on in terms of country-wise and what they're doing. So let's just have a quick recap. I'm going to do this in alphabetical order just so it's nice. Albania, it looks like we're going with Festival Ikenges. I think the submissions were extended, so it's now closed, and we're just waiting for dates and participants. Armenia, we don't know what they're doing, because obviously they've just been confirmed. Australia, we've got Australia Decides. That's going to air on the 26th of February, 2022. Austria, ORF hasn't said anything. Azerbaijan hasn't said anything. Belgium, Jeremy McKees has been selected after expressing his interest previously, and it's so nice to have that confirmation. A voice winner always works well for Belgium, so let's just hope it sticks again. Bulgaria, we don't have anything as of yet. Croatia, we've got Dora, but we're waiting for dates and obviously acts, but I think submissions are due to open shortly. Cyprus, we have nothing, but it's looking likely an internal selection, and there's the news that in 2023 they're gonna have a national final. Czech Republic, Eurosong season would be the national final. We'll have that in December. It's weird saying that. Denmark, Dansk Melody Grand Prix will come back on the 5th of March. Estonia, which we'll delve deeper in shortly, will end on the 12th of February. Finland, UMK will also be back in February, date to be confirmed. Georgia, we have no idea what's going on. Greece, they had their submissions, but it's looking likely they're going to have their entry representative revealed by at least the end of the year. Iceland, Songvakeppnin is back after internally selecting Dadi, and the final will also be on the 5th of March. Ireland, the Late Late Show would also be back. We have no date as of yet. Israel, they're doing X Factor for the artist. I don't know about the song, but they did receive 130 submissions for that. Latvia, we got Supernova back again in February, but with no specific dates. Lithuania, Babandom is looking like it is being used. We have no further information as of yet. Malta, MESC is back, and we have no further information as of yet. Moldova, quiet as usual. Montenegro, Montevideo won't be back. There's a question mark on that. Internal selection, who knows? Netherlands is an internal selection. I think the submissions have already closed, but so far nothing from then on. North Macedonia, we have nothing. Norway, we got Melody Grand Prix, which is due to end on the 19th of February. Poland will have an internal selection with their representative due to be revealed on the 2nd of January. Portugal, Festival de Canção will be back and would conclude in March. They've received 600 submissions on their open call. 4 of those will be participating. Romania, nothing. Russia, nothing. San Marino, this is a good one. Una voce per San Marino. It's also they're giving San Remo a run for their money. Final due to end on the 19th of February. Serbia, we will have a national final, but I don't think it's going to be Beovizia. It's going to be confirmed just because of some license issues or whatever. Slovenia, we're going to have EMA and EMA Fresh. That's in the new year, but dates are still to be confirmed. Sweden, lovely Sweden will have Melody Festivalen, will end on 12th of March. Switzerland, internal selection to be confirmed. Ukraine, UAPBC is going to host Vidbeer on its own, but whatever that format is, still to be confirmed. France, you have your C'est vous qui décidez. We don't know when that would be. Germany, nothing, but I know that they've already started looking at the panel that would help select their entry. Italy, Sanremo would conclude on the 5th of February 2022. Spain will have Benidorm Fest. And of course, as we just talked about, the United Kingdom would internally select, I think, but we don't know when. But I'm out of breath. Out of the 41 that we've mentioned, is there anyone that's standing out before we delve in deeper quickly?
Oh, definitely San Marino. It feels like after the last few years, they're just going all out and they really want to do well. And I really, really like that.
I mean, if it gets another banger like Who We Are, I'm all for it. I love that song, unapologetically and completely.
Oh my God. For me, yeah, San Marino really sticking out. Not the ones we're gonna delve into, but it looks like they got the budget to do something big this time. But I hope it's a rating success because it would be nice to, visit San Marino, all that kind of stuff. But the couple that we're gonna focus on because it's been expanded, which is a bit of a shock. Esti Lau is actually gonna start next month, and we're gonna have 4 quarterfinals between November and December, and then a 2 month break, and we'll be back on February for a semifinal and the grand final. What are your thoughts on this? I'll start you off, Jazzy.
I'm not sure. I do feel like SD LOL sometimes isn't the highest quality national final. I know some people are really going to disagree with that. A lot of the songs I find in SD LOL can be they're not bad, they're just a bit middle of the road. And I get that it's a good opportunity for Estonian artists for more Estonian artists to show off their talent in Estonia. So it's good in that sense, but I worry a little bit if this will be quantity over quality, and we're going to get a lot of middle of the road songs that I feel that we've had quite a bit of in the last few years of SDLL. I hope I'm wrong. I hope this boosts up the quality, but yeah, I'm not sure how I feel about this.
I mean, from a pure competitiveness standpoint, I think this is not the best idea because you have that big gap between the quarter and the semi-finals and on the Eurovision stage, most of the people that end up televoting will hear the song twice. They'll hear it in the semi-final, and if it then qualifies, they'll hear it in the final, and that's it. Maybe a third time in between, but you don't necessarily want to grow her as a song to be your song to the Eurovision Song Contest if you really want it to be a competitive entry. So in that sense, it might not be the best idea. But if Estilau is basically taking this slight turn into really being, we are going to promote Estonian artists and etc. etc. And so it takes sort of a festival Kenges and the San Remo idea of like, we end up being more focused on promoting our own music and Eurovision isn't semi-accidental byproduct, then it's good for the contest and good for the Estonian music industry, but not necessarily for the Eurovision competitiveness. Whether that's a positive or a negative depends on what your goals are.
I kind of agree with Angus's point. My main concern is because you would have by December, you'd already know all of the participating songs. And my biggest worry is things might become too stagnant for Estonia. Because think about it, if you know all the songs from November up until December, and then you'd have that 2 month break where you're just like repeat listening, repeat. And about 90% of these people won't hear the song until May, and they're the ones that are going to be voting for it. And my main concern is, are we going to have something that's just going to stick, and it might not end well for them, but hopefully that's not the case, and they end up sending a song with a good quality, or they might do a flip where they just say, okay, you know what? It's a song that sticks, and if it's somehow gotten into the ears of the viewing public in Europe through, I don't know, if it's a song that's like upbeat and become a TikTok challenge and then it just sticks in their head, that might be one of the things that might work for them. But you know what? I think I'm gonna reserve my judgment until the songs have come out, just because I'm a bit nervous. But if it works for them and it's a ratings winner, I'm not gonna, judge them completely just because if it's a rating success, why fix something that's broken? If they qualify, they qualify. If they don't, they don't. There's nothing you can do about that. But moving on, another format change that completely shocked us a bit. Melodifestivalen. This is the first year that Christian Bjorkman will not be involved with producing of the show this year. And one major change that they've already announced is that they're dropping Andra Hansen for the upcoming edition. And what they'll do is, of those 8 participants that don't make it directly to the final, they'll be split into 2 different groups. And what would happen is, out of the 4 in each group, the 2 with the highest votes will be the one that will be advancing through to the final. So, let's delve in. What do you think of this format change?
I quite like it simply because I feel like in the past there's either been two songs in the like really good and they're in the same duel, and then one of them's obviously getting eliminated. And when the flip side, Andrew Chanson, you'll have 2 weaker songs in the same duel, and one of them will go to the final while maybe being a bit weaker than a song that's already been knocked out. So in that sense, I think it's a good thing. But like, it just feels weird that Sweden are changing things up so massively, because I think we're so used to like Melody Festival and having this like strict set out, and now it's all changed. But I think I'm pretty glad for it. But I can understand why some fans are just like, no, not Andrew Chanson.
I mean, I haven't delved into the history of it or anything, and so I don't know how it would have impacted potentially like past contests, like who would have made it through, who wouldn't have, based on this idea. So I think I'll reserve my judgment based on that. So that's very subjective. Like, if my favorite doesn't go through, I'll scream bloody murder, and otherwise I'll be like, oh, great idea. But it does. I'm not sure if it makes that much of a difference. Like, I understood the argument that was given by the organizers, like, oh, Andrew Chanson implies us this idea of doing things a bit different, like it's really a second chance and change things up. And nowadays, just nobody does that anymore because it's all so perfectly organized and choreographed. That being said, just from a competition standpoint, so from a TV standpoint, there is something very cool about the duo idea. But then it also depends again on producers organizing it properly.
All right, then we got this comment from James saying, to be fair, if you think about it, I mean, it's still technically like second chance in a way. It's kind of like a wild card round per se. So I don't get the name of the change, but yeah, I agree with Angus in that sense. So sorry, I'm just covering up his face. Well, it's just saying that, you're still giving a chance for someone to qualify. So I think it's more of like a name change, just for like sake, we're getting rid of this and also rejiggering the format. Because to be honest, I will tell you this: Loreen, Jenny Silver, Molly Hammer, amongst other people, like that got like the kill, especially Loreen twice, because of these jewels that like just killed their chances. And I love the fact that Christer Bjorkman said, like in an interview, like one of his regrets was putting Loreen with I forgot what his name is now. Just goes to show you that how like I've forgotten it. And statements didn't get through to the final. So yeah, I'm very, very happy that they got rid of the jewels. And also it reduces the fact that 2 acts from the same semifinal would actually, advance through, and hopefully that helps it.
Oh no. Oh, okay. I was on mute there. I am so sorry. I thought I'd unmuted myself. Basically, what I was trying to say is, I think it was Anton Hagman that knocked Loreen out in 2017. That's the one where he said, "Oh, he regrets putting them in the same duel together."
Yeah, it's like literally the worst duel ever, and It's something that I will never ever forgive Christer Bjorkman for, but I think so does the majority of the Eurovision fandom that got really peed off when that result was announced, because I didn't like it either. Okay, moving on. Another thing that has popped up. I mean, let's take a little break from Eurovision related stuff. We've had a little reunion. Well, sorta. Like last month, ABBA has announced that they're releasing new music. You know, finally some good in the world. Voyage is coming out next month. We've already had 2 singles. Don't Shut Me Down being my favorite of those. And also yesterday, Just a Notion got released. And of course, for the lucky Brits like me, they're doing a virtual show in a pop-up arena in Stratford near the Olympic Village, and I have got tickets for that. I am so hyped. I was just wondering, have you guys listened to the new songs, and what are your thoughts on it?
I've listened to Don't Shut Me Down and I quite like it. I wasn't too sure on it at first, but then when I listened to it at Eurofest, it kind of went off because I was on the stage at that point. Like, it just went off, and now I have a new affection for it because it was so fun.
I listened to all singles, Just a Notion only once so far though, but it's the first 2 were very much it's ABBA doing ABBA, but still felt new, and Just a Notion is very much like they also posted about it on Twitter that it's actually an old song that they're now just releasing, and you do feel the difference, and that's also it's really nice to compare and contrast those songs really. And yeah, it's nice to hear new ABBA music, and looking forward to the rest of the album.
All right, then. Well, all I will say to round that up is ABBA, thank you for the music, because it literally cheered the whole world up. It literally, like, I think you broke the internet a bit when it was released. And I am so happy to like be seeing them, and you know they're actually releasing new tickets for the virtual show. So if you do get a chance to go to it, hopefully you can go. And Jazzy wants to say something.
We will be doing a podcast episode on all things ABBA very soon, and I'm very excited actually because it's something we really haven't done on the podcast all that much, like just delving into one artist. But ABBA deserve it, don't they? It's ABBA, come on.
Oh yes, like I am so happy about that. But okay, I think that rounds off our Eurovision roundup for the meantime. You know, we will always come back to this, but we are gonna look into something different. Well, just because it's the way they structured it this year is so different. And we are gonna talk about, of course, the little ones, the Junior Eurovision Song Contest. Obviously, we all know that we are going to Paris this year, thanks to Valentina and her wonderful Imagine performance. And we have 19 participating countries in this year's competition. And so far, we have got, if I can get my list up correctly, it would be appreciated. Hype myself up that well. Okay, so we have got Germany, we've got the Netherlands, we've got Poland, Malta, Spain, and France, who have all released their songs. Ireland is there with an artist, and so with Azerbaijan. Out of all the songs that has been released so far, who is your favorite at the moment?
I would have to say maybe Malta. It's just something different, and it does give me a bit of a Teenage Life vibe, but more modern, and I just really like it. I know that's going to be unpopular, but it's good. It's different to anything I would have expected to see. I really like France as well. I think listen to that song, they could easily win it again. I feel like that performance is going to be so charismatic on stage and just so entertaining. I wouldn't be surprised if we were back in Paris in 2022. I really wouldn't. Like, they really seem on a roll with Junior Eurovision. And I struggle to see anything beating this.
I mean, my personal choice would be Poland, I think. It's the song I've liked the most so far. I do know that personally I might be downrating a couple of songs just because my favorite in set final didn't win, and those feelings will dissipate over time. But that's always at first. It's the first reaction of like, well, I prefer that song, so give it some time. But I think personally, yeah, Poland is my favorite, and then Germany, I'd say. Although it's all, or actually Netherlands and then Germany, but it's all very close for me so far.
Okay, well, for me, out of all the ones, I'm in agreement with Angus, just because it looked very obvious from Zanzana's success that Sarah was gonna, this was a ball in the park for her, and that it was no issue for her winning this. And in fact, were we right, because she like literally won it with like land with like perfect scores overall. But all I'll say is um I want Poland to win just because I really enjoyed Poland's hosting, and I know that they can always produce a good song for Junior Eurovision, and that's what very, very excites me the most. Looking at the other entries itself, I also like Rare by Levi because it's just something different. You know, I don't know what it is with Spain. They're a bit more bold at taking a risk in junior than they do at Eurovision. Because if they do that Eurovision, it doesn't end well for them, and it doesn't end well for them badly. But in junior, it somehow seems to work. But what my point is, like, take these countries such as like Poland and Spain. Please use the country that like worked on that junior. Put them in Eurovision. It might work. It might not. Who knows? I think they try. They. Sorry about that. Don't know what that happened. But it worked on. I think they tried to do it for 2020, but what frustrates me is we didn't really get an end result with that because they selected Alicia through Sans and a Success, and we never got the end part because of the cancellation. So they're internally selecting for 2022, but we don't know what happens, but we'll see. But before we move on, let's just have a little tally of what's happening. And I'm going to get my voice out. Okay, Albania, they're going to be using Junior Fest. Then again, don't know any more details about that. Armenia, we don't know what they're doing, but I will say that I do hope they select Malena, just because she deserves her shot. Same with Eurovision, so please select Athena. Azerbaijan, we got Sona Azizova, that has been selected as a representative. Bulgaria, we still have nothing. France, we got Enzo with Tic Tac, which is actually out on streaming platforms now. So do check out our website so you can listen to it. Georgia, Ranina is currently taking place and should end early next month. Germany, we have Pauline with the song Imagine Us. Ireland, we have Maui Levi Lola, who won Junior Eurovision Air. Italy, we're due to get the song next month. Kazakhstan, they're having their national final, and it's due to conclude on the 6th of November. Malta, we got Ike and Kai with My Home. On the Netherlands, we got Ayana with Matasugu One. So forgive me if I butchered that. North Macedonia, we got Date Musica with Green Forces. Poland, we got Sarah James with Somebody. Portugal, we got Shema Olivier. Song to be confirmed. Russia, we have their national final on the 30th of October. Serbia, we got Ivana and Dunya with Children's Eyes. Spain with Levi Diaz and Rare. And Ukraine, they're due to select their representative tomorrow, which actually leads us perfectly to the next one, which is Ukraine will be selecting their junior representative tomorrow. Of course, we will be covering that. So, please do check out our coverage at that Eurovision site. Russia will be selecting on the 30th of October, and Kazakhstan will be selecting on the 6th of November. And you know what? We're nearly at the end, but you know what? A lot of people seem to be joining in. So, do say hi. I see Sasha just, waving his hand. Hi, Sasha. Hope you're doing well. Did I miss anything out that we should talk about? Or is there anything you want to delve into quickly?
I mean, I know we can easily talk each other's ears off about Eurovision, so if you want to keep on talking, I easily could, but I can't think of anything right now that needs addressing. But any of our viewers are also free to recommend something if they want to.
I've got one actually. All right. How with Mello we get our artists by the end of this year. Well, the rumors have started again. So, all I'll say is we've got Liamu, who has participated twice in 2018 and 2019. We've got Robin Bengtsson as another finalist. And today, it's just been reported by Aftonbladet that Alvaro Estrella and Clara Hammerström are participating again. So those are the four that are rumored so far. All I'll say is it seems to be we've got another pattern of returning artists. And I hope they bring something different to the table, but what would you think?
Yeah, I just hope that they will bring something different. And I feel like these artists, I feel like Liamo has a huge potential to win Melfest at some point, just because he came close a couple of times, not quite over the border. So, yeah, I think it's really interesting.
Angus, what are your thoughts?
I've never really. I know this might be like blasphemy or something, but I've never followed Melody Festival that much. That's just one of the ones I followed less. I know it's scandalous, but it will be always interesting to see what returning artists bring to the table, especially with the past experience. Speaking of, quick shout out with the rumor that Miklas Josef also is competing in the Czech national final again. If you're talking about returning artists, I think that's also worth a quick mention.
Okay, then I've got a question for Sasha. So we got 41. Who are you missing the most?
I can easily answer this. I answered this in the podcast last week. The country that I'm definitely missing the most is Bosnia and Herzegovina. I think they were such a big part of Eurovision when they were taking part, and it's just really sad that financially at the moment they can't take part. And I hope they find their way back to Eurovision soon, because they are definitely missed.
Yeah, Bosnia and Herzegovina is a good shout. I mean, for me personally, I would love to see Andorra return. I just love the small countries in Eurovision. I've always loved them. If we're talking about countries that are also not interested in joining Eurovision again, I would just say Luxembourg. I miss like a good someone to compete with France for the chansons. But yeah, let's keep my answer on Andorra.
For me, I'd say, oh God, yeah, Andorra, but I will give a shout out to Turkey just because they bring something different. And, I don't think they'll top like Every Way That I Can or Doom Tech Tech, but I do actually want to have some more flavor back into the contest because they always bring that and I really hope they just agree with the rules, because, like, look, I get it. Like, I get it. You don't like the rules that 50% are being judged by like 5 people per country, and then the other one is like the public, which you're relying on because you're diaspora. But it's just what it is. But you know what, Sasha, you're really good at like giving us these questions. So, if the COVID situation stays the way it is now until May, do you think Australia won't be there again? I can start this off quickly. Australia is starting to open up soon, actually. So the caps on the flights are being turned off, I think. Like, some air carriers are now doing daily flights. They're allowing people who are fully vaccinated, have reached 80% of like their vaccination, can open up again. Don't quote me on this, but this is just what I've read on the news, so I don't know if it changed. But yeah, it seems that they're opening up, and it looks like Australia can travel to Italy. But there's always that fear that it might surge again, and borders might close again, because you never know now. But I do hope that Australia gets there. I mean, they're holding Australia decides, so if that gives us some sort of certainty at least. But all I'll say is, if they can, hopefully they can improve on their live on tape. As much as I love Montaigne's live on tape, it just felt a bit sad that she wasn't there. Like, the fact that she was the only one. But I do hope that they can make some sort of exemption and let her travel. Just like, let the person who is going to represent Australia travel. Just, they did it for the Olympics. This is what I don't get. If you can do it for the Olympics, why can't you do it for Eurovision? Why are you always sidelining the entertainment industry? Because it is frustrating. I set that up, but what are your thoughts, guys?
I mean,
I'm-
so you go ahead.
Okay, I think I'm unmuted. Yeah. I'm a little bit not sure whether Australia will be there in person or not. And it's just because this COVID situation changes all the time. And prior to a couple of weeks ago, Australia have been super strict about who can go in and out, and the policies about who can go in and out. And I'm not sure, but I hope they are there in person. It's looking a little bit more optimistic than it has been doing. So, yeah, I think I'd like to see them there, but I'm unsure whether we will or not.
Yeah, it all just depends on so many factors that from just COVID to political factors and everything else in between. It's very hard to predict at the moment. I would hope that they're there, and I do think that with rising vaccination rates and all that, that no matter what the actual status of everything that's going on is that it will be possible to attend in person. Because yeah, just to be the only one that was like pre-taped and everything was sad, especially because it just then made you think of what they could have done on the Rotterdam stage. And I do think for Technicolor there was a lot of potential, and I'm sure that whatever the next entry is will also have a lot of potential if it actually gets to like one of those massive stages.
Yeah, just rounding things off, like, I do like the scenario base, and I do like live on tape. I like that there's some sort of certainty on this situation, but I really hope that we come back to a day where we won't need it as much, and that it wouldn't rely on it. But another one, Sasha is very, very lovely at about small countries in Eurovision. Most of us love the underdog feeling, but will this countries ever get enough jury and televote? And I doubt that after that San Marino finish, will ever get a top 3. And you know what? We always say, I'll start this off. We always say that it always depends on the song, and it can work. Like, Malta has had a couple of runner-up finishes, so it is possible. But I think, looking at it in a perspective where you have to appease both jury and televoters, it has been a bit difficult. But you know what? Not to say that it's not impossible, but what are your thoughts, guys?
I think the one that I go back to, and I don't know if they're technically a small country because I think they do have a bit of diaspora, would be Moldova, because I think they're quite tiny, and they did finish top 3 televote in recent times, like 2017. So it's definitely possible. It's just harder. You've got to really, really appease the jury or the televote for that to happen. Although I will say this, San Marino's result shocked me. Like, I did not see that coming at all. So it's a bit of a flip of a coin, really, because yeah, I didn't see that coming. I don't think anybody did. So
I think it's very hard to say what would help these smaller countries qualify consistently, let alone get very high results. But as we said, Malta, Iceland also has had multiple top 10 results over the past decade. You can also look at, I mean, we tend to forget it because we mostly focus on other things with them, but Cyprus only has barely over 1 million people in it. And they've been doing great at the competition. And you can point at other countries that also maybe don't have these automatic voting blocks as much, etc., that would then be an example for like a San Marino, or if they returned in an Andorra and other small countries. So I do think there's something there. It's hard to pinpoint what they exactly have to do to be successful. And I do think it varies from country to country. But I think for a small country, it's good to have a certain brand. So I think in that sense, San Marino was very smart to consistently send in basically 3 different performers. Because it just builds a certain brand, and then people are like, I might not know what San Marino is that much, but I do recognize Valentina, and that can definitely help, I think.
I mean, it took her 3 attempts, 3 consecutive attempts, but she got there. And, there's even a chance that she might actually come back next year. So, who knows? All I'll say is, though, one last question. Now that we're back to normal proceedings, what are you looking forward to about the 2022 Eurovision Song Contest, which will take place in Turin?
I think for me, it's just like traveling to the host country again, travel to somewhere new, and something that I'm really, really excited to like just go explore new places again. And really excited also for national finals, like to combat like Ukraine's national final, Australia's national final, and just really excited to like delve into a full season as part of the site as well, because we had a season last year, but it was more, it's a bit slower because obviously a lot of countries selected internally. So yeah, I'm just really, really excited.
Yeah, it's very exciting to be part of a team during the Eurovision build-up and the Eurovision season itself. What I'm mostly looking forward to, especially also if you look at what did well this year, is just more ethnic bops and ballads. Especially Montenegro and Armenia are great at those, incorporating like local folk sounds and music into their entries, and just give me more of that. Just I can never get enough of that, and also just variety in languages. I just love that so much about this contest, and I do have a very small but definitely a hope inside of me that we will see more of that this year than we have seen in a long time.
I agree with both of you, but mainly for me is being able to actually go in person. Just because I've not been in my normal schedule for 2 years now. My next, I don't know when my next trip is. I think my next trip will be Paris, hopefully, for Junior Eurovision. I am keeping my fingers crossed. And also Mellow, because I can never get enough of Mellow as it is. But I am very looking forward to, there's more. I'm looking at it. There's more national finals than there is internal selections. Someone correct me if I'm wrong, but I think we've got more national finals than internal selections this year. And I think my brain's gonna explode this year. But I am looking forward to that. But one quick fire question from Sasha before we go. Do you think native language singing will be a big thing next year? Just a quick yes or no.
Yes, and I think Eurovision is better for it.
As I said earlier, I think and hope that it will be bigger than ever, or recently at least.
Bigger! But, okay, well, I think that takes us to a natural end for this live stream. I just want to thank Jazzy and Angus for taking their time on a Saturday just to quickly talk about Eurovision. And for me as well, thank you so much for watching. I know there's only like 6 or 5 of you, but you know, the fact that you took 30 minutes out of your day just to like come have a chat with us and talk, it really means a lot. But, you know, it's a new season. All I'll say is, you've already seen on the tickers at the bottom, don't forget to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, That Eurovision site on Facebook, at That Euro site on Instagram and Twitter. We're also on YouTube, so where you're watching this, if you'd give us a subscribe, we'd really appreciate it. And also, you know, stuff is coming up, so we'd really appreciate your support for this upcoming season. But to conclude, we hope you have a lovely Saturday evening, or Sunday morning in James's case, because it's already midnight in the Philippines. So, shall we all say goodbye?
Bye.
Bye.
Follow, like, share, subscribe, leave a
Bye.
comment.
Exactly.
All that good stuff.